It is a beautiful Thursday morning. As much as, there's been rain, it's a bit chilly, but I know it's going to be a warm one immediately after we delve into our conversation today with an amazing, amazing couple, a power couple, let me call them that, because, they're ready to bring this house or this studio down, and when it comes to matters marriages. And today we're discussing relationship, how to maintain a healthy work-life balance. And they're going to take us through their journey. They're people who work in their own professions, but somehow they've managed to maintain that balance. Amazing parents to their two beautiful girls. So it is a conversation. I urge you to hang on in there and be part of it. Remember to join us on this conversation on 20316 SMS line 0786 316 316 for you to send in your questions, comments, because beautiful Pastor Kathy, already I've given you a hint to it. And you're welcome, Pasi and Dawn. Karibuni sana.
Asante sana.
It's so good to have you both here.
Asante, thank you.
Yeah, and I'll start with you, Pasi. You're the lady. Please introduce yourself too. You're not a first timer here, but for those who may not know you.
Oh, right. Yeah. I am Cynthia Wambuyu Tieno. I am a pastor, a marriage and relationship coach, a woman-to-woman mentor, a published author, but most importantly, I love Jesus.
Amen.
I love him with all my heart, and I'm truly glad to be here in your show and to actually have this amazing conversation. When I was hearing you say that I have managed work and life balance, I'm like, we are I don't think there's anybody that can say that they have conquered the work-life balance, but we can tell you what has worked for us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Karibu sana, Pasi. Thank you. Dawn.
Hi, my name is Dawn Otieno. A marriage and relationship coach in business also. And yes, I'm glad to be here.
Karibu sana, karibu sana. So Pasi, starting us off, probably you may start by telling us what is the importance of just having that work balance, which, as you're saying, is quite elusive. It's not like you're not yet there. Most marriage or couples are not yet there. What is the importance of having that balance?
Okay, so work life, I actually call it work life love balance.
Wow.
Especially because we're talking about being able to set your priorities right, being able to look at your life goals, your life priorities. That is your day-to-day. How do you manage to juggle all that is to do with work, which would be your career, which would be your assignments, your life, which is basically, your day-to-day living, and your love, your children, your family. How do you manage to balance that? And some will say that there's nothing called a work-life balance, but there is some sense of being able to set the right goals, set right priorities, to be able to say that, you're getting to some sort of balance in the three aspects. So that's what I would call it.
Okay. And it's important.
It is critical and important. Even if you're a single person, managing it and being able to harness it is going to be very important, because it also talks about your emotional, mental, and physical health. If you're able to balance or even manage it, you see, one of the things that I usually say is that in the beginning, in Genesis chapter 1 and 2, you see God creating time, and he actually demarcates time by having seasons. And when he does that, he gives us day and night, which basically the creation of the 24 hours, day and night happens. We are custodians of that 24 hours. And we are supposed to manage the time, not it to manage us. The things that we say, I lost time. No, you didn't lose it. You didn't manage it well. And so what part of what we will talk about today, work-life love balance, is you being able to say what God has given you custody over, which is time. How do you manage to prioritize what is important, what is critical, and what is part of play? How do you manage to do that? Are there some things that are going to be important to you? So that will be part of the things that Dawn and I are going to talk to you about.
Awesome. What a profound, intro right there from your side, Dawn.
Yes.
You have busy schedules, I believe.
Yes.
Could you just take us briefly, like your schedule, her schedule, and then how you come together then and just balance this out for the family and for your own selves individually?
Okay. I guess let me start off by saying whenever you hear the word balance, there's always, if you look at the other side, it means something has to be in line. There are things that have to be put together.
Right.
Because when you say balance and you don't weigh and try and see the two, then it's not a balance. Once you hear balance, it means there are things that we have to, there are two things or more that we have to make sure are in line. So when we talk about work-life balance, it's the making sure we have put these two things or more to a space where they can actually give you a seamless kind of a life. For us, we do a lot. I do the mentoring and coaching for men. She does the one for women. We do couples at the same time. And then there's the beautiful girls who want attention and require everything, and just making sure that their life is there. I think one of the things we do well is we make sure we put a barrier, or a boundary. When it comes to what we do versus family and taking care of the girls, there's no compromise. I know there are times where you need the money and you need to pay the bills and all, but not at the cost of spending time with the girls, not at the cost of spending our time together. So there are those times you put and say, okay, like our coachings, we don't go beyond 5 o'clock. However much, if you look at the sessions with the couples, many of them are also working. So they expect you to, after work is when they would want to meet you many times. Many times it's in the weekends, but we still have to put that boundary in case, so that we are not compromising on one and making the other one prioritized. Why I bring that up is many times you'll find, especially for the men, you get to take provision as your core thing, and you'll keep working and stay away from home, keep working. You're not getting time for yourself, even as a man, to just rest or do a hobby, something else other than work. And that becomes a strain, because now home is affected, the kids are affected, your wife, because they're never seeing you, and then your health personally, because you don't take time off to just check yourself out and rest and do stuff like that. So that's a big thing for us. We make sure there's that balance. There's work, there's family, and there's rest for us.
Fantastic, awesome. And in all that, of course, I'm hearing there's also communication there, Pasi. How important is that?
Let me tell you, especially for, this is a relationship forum. One of the greatest things about work-life love balance is actually the communication, because there's no way you're going to be able to create the balance when we are not able to sit down with a spreadsheet of what our time looks like. And it's you've got to realize Don has his time. He has got all these things that he needs to accomplish. He has even his own personal goals. He has things that he's written in the beginning of January. You remember we all sat down and said we want to lose 20 kgs, we want to do this. That's part of your life. I have my life goals and things that I want to do, and then we have our life. Have we sat down and gone through what that looks like, and how do we want to manage our life together as a couple on a day-to-day basis, on a month-to-month basis, on a yearly basis. For 3 years from now, what does that look like? How are we going to manage that time? Manage even, when we talk about managing life, there is a part of even my self-care. You know, and his self-care, and our daughter's self-care. Are we helping them manage that as well? Managing your stress levels. And that would mean that how are we keeping our tanks full as a couple? That requires quite a bit of communication, and even giving each other feedback, because you can actually be able to evaluate one another, and you see, by the way, I've noticed that based on your work-life balance, you have so many pockets, or you have a pocket here that actually is taking away time from your self-care. Can we talk about that? Even for the girls, it's very important for them to be able to manage that. There's another one that we were talking about on our way here. When matamchi. So on our way here, the technology management, we are living in a digital age right now, and everybody is like, the kids, dad, mom, how do we manage technology and ensure that you're helping even the young ones manage their time? So even as we speak, one of the things that we have is like a Google app that helps the children manage time on the gadget. So technology management, and actually having all these different apps. We have an app that is called Cozy that helps us manage our schedule. Help us manage all our schedules as a family, and it syncs to our phones. So that is part of work-life balance, is that we have learned to input data into, data can work for us. Technology should work for us. Look for the tools that will help you manage that. So what does that require? Communication. And when you start to realize that your work-life balance is not working, maybe you're not communicating well. Maybe that's the first area you need to interrogate. Am I speaking up? Am I talking about what is going on around me? Do the people that matter know why I am so stressed, why I'm finding myself lagging behind in my readings, in my devotion? Maybe I'm not communicating well, and so the people around me continue to give me the work, continue to pull from me, and I feel drained and overwhelmed. Could it be that I'm not communicating, and that is not being understood by the people around me? So communication is a critical piece.
Very critical indeed. And you know, in all this, then of course there are challenges that even as a couple, there's a family with the girls, you may have gone through or you go through. What are some of the challenges, Dan?
Actually getting feedback even from the girls. There are times where you're overwhelmed, you've set your goals, and you're like, okay, we have to have done this by then, and we need the money, and you are on cruise control. That's what I call it. You are just ready to go, and you're doing it, and then you realize weeks and months are passing. We haven't actually sat down as a family. We haven't done this. That has happened, where you realize, hey, I'm actually too much on focusing on my things, and I haven't stopped to find out how the girls are doing, how where they are at, how they are feeling. And not only the girls, but even as a couple, you'll keep going, and then you realize, like for us, I think there's times where we've actually concentrated so much on couples, and then it hits you that
this couple,
this couple, you know, especially from what we do.
001.
Couple 001 has been missing in action, you know. You know, from what we do also, you realize, okay, you're always talking, meeting couples, they have issues, sometimes they are heavy, sometimes. Then you realize okay, even for us,
Yeah.
there's something. Hey, we are not talking. We are not. We're just every time. Who's the next couple? Who's the next couple?
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
So those are some of the mistakes we've made, whereby you focused so much on the outside,
Right.
and you tend to neglect what's going on here. And that can be dangerous also,
Yeah.
because now you don't know where you're at. You remember, like she mentioned, sometimes you've set your personal goals and you can focus on them and keep going.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
And
Yeah.
also you can't pour from an empty cup, so you need to
Exactly.
go back and
Yes.
refill yourself.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Percy, then how often do you check in on each other just to do that?
That is such a good question. There's something that Dawn came up with early this year.
Yeah.
It's part of our family goals.
Okay.
Is that we have a family check-in every Friday.
Wow.
Tomorrow. Yes.
Wow.
So we do after dinner, no gadgets, no TV, no nothing, and we sit down as a family and check in. And it's a physical check-in. You
Wow.
have to say how you're doing emotionally, mentally, and physically. What are some of the things that are weighing you down? Is there any stressors? What happened in school? What happened to daddy? What happened to mommy? And the girls are hearing. And they get to get into our world.
Right.
You know, they get to hear us verbalize. I'm feeling stressed about this. I'm feeling afraid about 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to
Yeah.
sell 1, 2, 3. So our kids know what is happening around us, and then we
Wow.
get to also check in
Yeah.
as a couple. This has really helped us in terms of a family check-in. One, to almost put a finger to emotions and feelings
Okay.
that each one is going through. Number 2, it has helped us as a family to be present. You know, there's something that, you can be in the room but not present.
Right.
But when you check in, there's
Right.
presence. It needs you to be grounded presently. So that's very important. Number 3, it has helped us also help our children manage their emotions.
Okay.
Verbalize emotion. You know, they're teenagers, they're preteens. One is a preteen, one is a teenager.
Yeah.
And the first thing that she will usually say, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing to say. I'm okay.
Yeah.
No. Put words to it. And so, what emotions do you have? And that has really helped her communicate. And then, last but not least, is that it has helped us pray, because after we check in, it's important for us to then say a word of prayer, and then
Yeah.
you'll hear
Yeah.
each one say a word of prayer, or the one who's leading in prayer to do that. For Dawn and I, our check-in is regular, because what happens is that Dawn and I work together.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to take that for granted, because we are everywhere together. We
Right.
realized, we sat down one day and we realized the hours apart are less or more. Less than the time together. So we are either coaching together, so we work from home. So you can take for granted that he's present, but we are not present. And so we have to be very intentional, because we have to ask each other the deeper question.
Right.
Have we failed before? Yes. We failed where you have, you're busy. Based on my temperament, I'm a choleric. Let's get the job done. Let's accomplish. And it's very easy to leave each other behind. But it's also very important for us to check in.
Okay.
And so we will check in as regularly as possible, more than the Friday check-in,
Yeah.
but as much as is present for us to be able to function.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and even in all this, as you navigate this journey together, what have you been through? Disagreements, conflicts, and then how do you resolve that?
Yes, as you've heard her say, she's a choleric.
Yeah.
And her personality is also sanguine. So, a people person from here. I usually say she's the queen of sanguines. Yes, there's those times where, especially when I focus on my goal, and for me it is rest. When it's quiet time, it is just don't relax, no noise, no people, and I'm fine with that. And you find my dear queen of sanguines here needs energy, needs people, needs noise for her to feel high. So very early in the relationship, before we actually identified that this is your personality and this is mine, she was stuck on every time. Are you okay? Anything wrong? Why? Are you? Is everything okay? You know. And I'm actually in my zone because I was actually fine when I'm quiet and seated. You know, things like those. You know, come out and you know, when you've put aside a day like Sunday, where you know after church I can just come home and rest. It has been a long week, you know, including Saturday. For us, even Saturdays, in fact, are one of the busiest days. So Sunday after church, it's just... But you find she invited 3 or 4 other couples to come visit.
It's like you're working.
So, you know, you're expecting to relax. So there are many occasions where I've hosted grudgingly, where you're sitting and not even talking.
You're just giving her that eye.
Yes, because you are not part of that. So things like those where our personalities
conflict
because we are different, but then we get to understand also there's that part where you have to sacrifice for the sake of that season or that moment.
And I hear people saying that, you know, there's something called a nothing box, that men just want to be there. Is that the place?
Yes. Just sit. There's nothing wrong. Because many times you can even sit facing with the remote facing the TV.
Blankly.
But there's nothing you're watching and there's nothing you're thinking.
But you know
it's
what?
just a zone.
What happens is that his nothing box is a nothing box. But I want to bring the flowers in the box. I want to be able to bring refreshment, color in the box. You can see for him, his nothing box is nothing. For Cynthia, the nothing box, no, let's put some flowers in the box. Let's go ahead and paint the box. Why should it be nothing? Let's paint it. So that can be such an amazing time of conflict because he needs to, or me as his spouse, I need to understand that's his preference. I need to respect. Respect is a major word here. That's who he is. But what happens is that there's a clash that is happening. And at the time when that was happening, I didn't understand that. I couldn't manage it. For me, I'm thinking it's not normal. Who sits in a box? A box is supposed to be opened up. Let's sit outside the box for a minute, Sally. Let's sit. And he's looking at me like, oh God, the woman that God gave me. So
by the time he gets to understand your personality, of course, there's all that, the clashes and all that.
And let me tell you something. There's no, we're working on a book that is called Are We There Yet? There is no there. So even now, we've been married now for 16 years. There will be a time or an opportunity. I understand it, but then I don't understand. You understand? And there will be a time when he doesn't understand why is she so flowery? Why is she? So there will be opportunities where that will still come back and clash. And I think that's the beauty of how God created us, is that it gives itself room for growth, but also a fair amount of conflict. Wow. So then with all this, then, like we had talked about boundaries, Dawn had mentioned something. How do you ensure, you know, you set boundaries that even family, sometimes, you know, family, extended family and whatever, how do you set that boundaries just to ensure that, no, people don't cross some lines? And now my husband is a melancholic. He's a structured, detailed person. Remember, mine has no lines. Mine, anybody can cross anyhow. You know, so
you can invite those couples on Sunday. You know?
On Sunday, I will do it. But then now is one communication. We learned to communicate to one another what works for us. So the biggest thing was communication. I got to understand why Sundays are holy ground areas. As in, do we still have visitors sometimes? Sometimes, but not all the times. Why? Because it's our opportunity to husa, you know, to breathe, and family is important to us, our immediate family. The other thing that we also learned is that we learned by creating boundaries is that looking at what is important to us, who are the people that are important to us, and how do we manage time with them, because you have to manage that time.
Right.
If it's visiting family, when do we visit family? Who is family? If we even define who is family, who's our extended family? Who are the people that really we want to spend time with, we want to grow with, we want to pray with, and you actually create that time. Those are the boundaries that we are speaking about. We earlier in the marriage, we also talked about if, let's say, family visits us, because we are Africans. Africans visit and they stay. For as long as they want. Part of our work-life balance is realizing that we are always with community, always. But then we also need to safeguard our family, our nuclear family. So we also sat down, I think we sat down very early in the marriage and defined if family comes from abroad or wherever it is, how long is too long? How long would be disruptive? And distract our little home. And basically we defined that. We defined what will work for us. For some people it is a week, for some people it is 3 weeks, for some people it's a month. But for us, we say this is what would work for us. And at that point in time, then we can have suggestions about, you know, what would be the alternatives. Has it worked? Yes, it has worked.
Don't you want to add something?
I think boundaries. A lot of people fear setting boundaries, but on contrary to that, is you realize when you set boundaries, people bow to them. The outside people will actually know, oh, don't visit Don at 5 because he won't be available. Because you've been consistent with that. 5 o'clock, okay, I'm done. Thank you, God bless you. See you next week. But if you leave it fluid, now those people who will always try and poke and see, okay, can I move this boundary or not? But setting boundaries and being consistent with it, now the people outside or the influence from outside will always now bow in towards this couple always will say hi to you
available,
because that's what you have been showing. So setting boundaries is not a bad thing. It always comes out like, you know, now they're keeping people off. Now they don't want to spend time with us. Because even as individuals, when you keep your boundary, I'm going to the gym in the morning and I'll be back at 8. You know, I have one of my accountability brothers who told us he grew up and his dad would have an evening. His dad was very old and he would walk around the compound for his exercise every day. So if you come and visit him at his time, it was very interesting because he told us visitors came and the dad had already put on his tracksuit. So he said hi to them in his living room and walked out. And did his walk because he does a walk every evening. You guys came at his time for walk. It won't change his goal and his plan. So he says hello and walks out and finishes. If it's an hour, he'll walk his hour and come back and say, now let's talk.
Oh wow.
You know, so set boundaries. Don't be fluid and just let things be changed and things turning, and you know, be consistent. Set your boundaries for life, because you have a plan. That's what you want. Is it easily broken? Is it easily disrupted? You know, have your plan, have your goal, and make sure it works. Keep at it, work at it. And that's why boundaries are also, you're not setting them just for the weekend or for fun. You're setting it because you have a plan. There's somewhere you're going. There's something you want so badly. That's why you're setting the boundaries.
I love that. And also, don't feel guilty about it. No guilt.
No guilt. I remember early, even in our marriage, we did we put our kids on a schedule, which gave us time. Even today, we don't regret it because it's so beautiful. You know, there are times you can even say you can go on our date night after 7 because the kids were asleep. The standard
religiously
they went to bed by 7. So we even hosted couples after 7 sometimes when we had the time, you know.
This is amazing. I need to take a break because I'm getting deeper into this, and I'm like, wow, beautiful conversation right here.
We are living in a lost and broken world, constantly bombarded by messages of hate and atrocities. But with God, we can overcome. Find hope and restoration on the go through life-changing shows on the Family Media app.
And then you will lose yourself and gain the world. And Jesus said, what good is it?
Get to stream Family TV and Family Radio 316 straight from your phone. Catch up on a show you missed or create video streaming playlists by saving and watching videos from our huge variety of shows at your own convenience. Download the Family Media app, available for all Android and iOS users on the Google Play Store and Apple Store respectively. Family Media, keeping Jesus on the airwaves.
Welcome back to Relationship Clinic this morning, and if you're just joining us, please remember we are discussing and talking about maintaining a healthy balance, you know, when it comes to life, work, and Pastor Cynthia has added, and love as well, you know, in our relationships. So if you want to speak to us, if you want to send a comment or ask a question, remember to do that on SMS line 20316, WhatsApp us on 0786316316, and we'll be able to just have an interaction with you. Back to our conversation, Percy. So now, what advice can you give to a couple, for example, who, you know, there are people who carry work home?
Yes, yes.
How can they manage that, or what can they do to improve on that?
That's a good question, because there's circumstances. I will not tell you not to carry work home. There's circumstances that require you to carry work home.
Right.
Sometimes we've carried work home because definitely we work from home. So work is at home most of the time. I would say if you find yourself carrying work home all the time, then you need to reevaluate your work schedule.
Okay.
Because you need to define, what does work look like? Is my work time 8 to 5? Is it a 9 to 6? Because you need to redefine what I'm doing with my time. And sometimes I give couples, you can download anything, a template online, a time log, and you start to investigate what you're doing with your time. Let me tell you something, Sally. You will find that there's Jane who comes to your desk every 30 minutes to give you a moshene or even some stories. They always come for 30 minutes and you sit down for a cup of tea. You're not managing your time well. That's why you're taking work home. The other times you will find that, oh, you know, I spend 15 minutes or 5 minutes on social media updating people of what you're doing at work. Or you tend to do certain things that are mundane that could be passed off to other staff. So you need to look. So that's why I'd say do a log of how you're managing your time at work. Was that work necessary to be taken home? So because if you find yourself carrying work home, which can happen, I'm not saying it can't happen, then it means that you're taking away. If let's say you have 8 hours at work and you have another 8 hours at home, which is life, or even you were supposed, then that means you're going to take away 2 hours or even 30 minutes away from a critical piece.
Right.
And so if I take those 30 minutes for, you can see I sat up because this is, I'm passionate about that. You've taken away 30 minutes, or even you took away 15 minutes. 15 minutes every week. What are you taking away from your tank? It is going to cost you in the long run. If it's your marriage, it will cost you. Because anything that you minus is a cost. It's in accounting, it's a cost. It's actually going to, you're not crediting it, you're taking away. So in a year, what has that cost you? In 5 years, you will start to feel it. In your gut because of your health. You're worrying, you're afraid, you start to feel it in terms of the relationships around you. You even start to feel it financially because now you're going to the doctor a lot more, and so you have to swipe quite a bit because of the medications, which was the 5 minutes that you are taking away just for work home is the 5 minutes you are supposed to walk around that compound, and now you cut the time around. So I would tell you, take work home, but before you make it a habit, look at it and you say, what is it I'm compromising?
Okay.
Am I compromising on my relationships? Am I compromising on my self-care?
Yeah.
Am I compromising on even my time with God? Because now what you're doing, you probably even don't have time with God.
Yeah.
So before you take work home, evaluate my time in my workplace.
Wow.
And start to make the necessary adjustments.
Wow.
You will find that there will be pieces that were not necessary.
Amazing. Okay. Dawn, this beautiful sanguine queen of yours, what are some of the activities that you do together just to reconnect, you know, probably weekly, monthly? What are some of those things that you do together?
Other than work, although I categorize what we do as a tank filler also. I know many times it can be termed as work, but I think many times when we've done this together, we feel, that was nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's also a tank filler.
Okay.
But other than that, because I want to categorize that as work, although we do a lot together in terms of we camp with the girls often. I love outdoors.
Okay.
Yeah, he's an outdoors guy.
I'm so outdoorsy, but I thank God because she accommodates me every now and then and just comes out and we do that.
Yeah.
Of course, our date nights,
Yeah.
we love to spend time with the girls also, going out and just doing anything and everything, especially on the weekends when we are free.
Okay.
We do that a lot. We've enjoyed a lot of our time movies at home,
shows,
you know, just sitting and enjoying a movie.
Or sometimes
and
go to the
just-
theater.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that has contributed
And
a lot
eating
towards-
out.
Oh,
I love eating
that
Yeah.
too.
Wow.
I remember there's a time we were really contemplating and saying how we should begin a vlog for just tasting, going to different places, and that was actually going to be in line with what we do because we encourage a lot of our couples to do date nights. So when we coach our couples, we always ask them on your date night, please send a photo of you out. And then tell us where it is. So that way we now build a database of different places we had never visited.
Wow.
So now we get to know, there's a place in Westlands, there's a place in town, there's a place. So we build our database of that also, so that we can also use, but we can also share with other couples.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to add something, Percy?
I think that's sufficient. He basically encompassed everything that we do together. You know, you'll find us sometimes at home reading. You know, he's reading on one end, I'm reading on the other end. We come up with one of the things that we also do is that we create some of the most exciting experientials for couples.
Okay.
So one of our tongue fillers is to come up with ideas together, and because both of us are creatives, we can sit down and just dream through creative things we can do with couples, because that's what we do.
Okay.
We have couples boot camps, we have couples game nights.
Wow.
So we look for exciting games that are couple-centric, godly. So we want to be able to do that with our couples all the time.
Okay.
So that's some of the things that we do on our free time together.
Okay. Individually, your self-love, your self-care, what do you do?
In terms of self-care, it's and I'm starting to you know, I've just entered 5th floor, and 5th floor I'm realizing, oh my goodness, I don't know why you reach a certain point where you say,
just wait, let me tell the listeners, because the viewers can see you. Just because for those who cannot see Pastor Cynthia, she doesn't look like 5th floor. Trust me. Moving on.
So I've become very intentional about what 5th floor looks like. So being able to manage what I'm taking in, managing not just my food, but managing the toxins and the things that in terms of, you know, what is on my phone, what I'm saying, just managing myself, managing even the friends that I'm keeping.
Okay.
my relationships. That is so important. That's part of self-care.
Yes.
One thing that I've realized, as a sanguine, everybody is my best friend, by the way. Sally, everybody is my best friend. And we were sitting this week, and I was asking him, because I have a devotional that helps me. I was doing a devotional, and I wanted to come up with at least 3 people that have walked my journey and are able to be dependable, accountable, and all that. And we sat down for almost 30 minutes. And he said, you know, Cynthia, you have a lot of friends. Who are the 3 that you can count on? And so it's very important. It's very critical that you're asking yourself those questions. So that part of self-care is actually evaluating and actually saying, how do I manage how I relate with others? It's not just people who are talking to me, but who am I to them? Because being able to manage that is critical and very important. I love going to a nice massage, you know, and a spa. I love spa moments. Oh, hallelujah, I love it. I love worship nights. I think part of my self-care is having a worship experience. I think that's my spiritual connection between God and myself. And then another one is a retreat, a personal retreat. No children, praise Jesus, no husband, no friends, a personal retreat where you can just go and husa. It's prayer time, it's fasting time, it is God time. So those are the things that I really enjoy as part of my self-care.
Awesome. Just before Don also tells us his self-care, you know, from a man's point, you know, there's is it a question? Hi, Sally. Please ask the couple if also they can share those photos of places couple go for date nights, because I would also really love to go.
Nice.
Okay, there you are. So yeah, maybe we'll respond to that. The couple will get back. So they want to watch the photos for date nights where you guys go. Are they online? Something they can follow up on that. So don't tell us your self-care routine. What do you do for your own self?
Okay. I gym. I cycle. I run.
Wow. Exercise. Oh, nice.
I hike a lot too. Other than that, anything outdoors. I think with my men's ministry, what I do is a lot of our activities are outdoors. And the interesting thing is I got a book that actually tells you that Jesus was an outdoors person. All his ministry, majority was outdoors, in the mountain, in the lake, by the sea, everywhere it was outdoors. And I'm like,
very affirming for you.
You know, I like that. You know, because what I do with Man Code events is we take men and just give them a space where we can talk, feel free, share, encourage one another, but I do a lot of that outdoors. You know, go out there and do it. So I love anything outdoors, camping, you know, hiking. Out, as long as we're out there, I come back full.
Re-energized. Awesome. So Percy, what are some of the lessons you've both learned or you've learned in this journey of trying to just balance the 3, work, life, and love?
One of the lessons I've learned is that you will make a lot of mistakes. It is possible that as you try to balance, like anything, a ball will drop. Learn the lessons when the ball drops. What dropped? Why did it drop? When did it drop? What do I need to do when the ball drops? What are some care mechanisms I need to have that help me not to drop more balls? So it's very important for you not to, the ball has dropped. Okay, let's move on. If you don't learn the lesson, it will keep dropping and it will cost you. So ask yourself some critical questions. Some other lessons that I'm learning is that it's not one size fits all. Every couple's work-life balance is going to be very different. What has worked for us is because we've learned how to work together for the time that we have been together, and it has worked for us. For some, it will be very different. You find that this another couple, they could be astronauts. They have to go up uko juu, and they'll be away for many months. Their core assignment is very different. So they need to learn how to manage when they are back from the moon. What does that look like? So you managing is understand yourselves, understand your assignment, understand, don't make excuse for it, but understand it. And then now say, this is who we are. We are brain surgeons. We are required 24/7. But when we are available, what does our time look like? Define and understand what work-life balance looks like. Number 3, keep evaluating. You see, I've realized that when we got married, work-life balance was very different. We were single. I mean, singly married. There were no children. Children came. Young kids came. Oh my goodness. If we sat on this chair when we had little babies, we would probably have asked you, ni mnyama gani huyo? As in, what is that? What work-life balance looked crazy. We talked about the scheduling. The scheduling made us have sanity. And made us even have time, a little bit of our time. Now we have teenagers. Now we are like, oh my, we're starting to feel the emptiness, or not really emptiness, but the freedom of being able to even take a night out and no, the house didn't burn. You know what I mean? So that shows that we can be a little bit more creative. And then maybe in another 10 years time, we are going to, you sit us back here again, God willing, we will tell you, hey, now we are trying to manage the play, you know?
All right, beautiful, beautiful. Dawn, and now as we wrap up, we're coming towards the end of the show. Probably your final sentiments, your parting shot in 30 seconds.
All right. All I can say is I'll just repeat that don't be afraid to set boundaries, set goals. Make sure that the balance is at par. It's not, there's nothing wrong with balancing your life. If anything, it will give you a more fulfilling life. So don't be afraid to evaluate, communicate with your spouse if you're married. If you're single, don't be afraid to sit with a coach and say, this is what I have. I do this, and what do you think I can do to make my life balance? But it is important for you as an individual at first, before you even include your spouse or any other people, that you are at a balanced space in life.
Oh, fantastic. Basi, would I risk to tell you at if you parting short for 30 seconds? No, just tell people mubarikiwe. Period.
I believe that if the couples or there are people that would like to ask us more questions, they can reach us on our social media pages, Cynthia Wambui Otieno and Dawn Otieno. And maybe we can continue the conversation.
Fantastic. Smart of you. Thank you so much. Thank you really, Mr. and Mrs. Otieno. Asanteni sana for making time, being here on time. I really appreciate, and you know, I love you guys, man. Asanteni sana. And to our viewers and listeners, my audience, wherever you are this morning, I just want to say asante sana for your time, sending in your question, comments, and compliments. We're going to share them with our, my guests this morning. Asante sana for your time, and to that special group of people, our partners who've been holding our hands throughout the years, 25 years being on air, just keeping Jesus Christ on the airwaves. So we want to say asante sana, and if you want to be part of this amazing community that is impacting lives, so you can do that by sending the word partner to 20316 or 0786316316. Write the word partner and our team will reach out to you. And if you want to also support us in any kind of way, then you can do that by just sending whatever contribution you may have or support to pay bill number 316316, and the account number will be your telephone number. God bless you and keep you. See you again next week by God's grace. Bye.